I was using Facebook, this new thing called Facebook back in 2007 to promote myself. I had my sister-in-law made a logo and I would just post. I post a lot. And after a while, people were like, so do you do family portraits? And I'm like, yes, I do.
Sure.
I had to figure it out.
Talk to me about where you came from in terms of what led you to what you're doing today. What are some of the specific ways that you as a photographer with your business, Sheldon, that you are using AI?
They don't even use AI a lot right now. And I just think when it comes to certain things, they're not going to do it.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Drop the mic with Jason Hunt.
Sheldon, what is good, my man?
Jason, it is so good to see you again. How's things?
Good. I love having these talks on the podcast because, you know, we met at BizCon, had a fantastic conversation, and the natural next step following that conversation was to have you on this podcast to talk about what you do, which is video. You're crushing it right now, video. And I love the approach. To give some context, I mean, we met briefly at BizCon. You came by my booth and we're having a conversation. And then I made the suggestion and said, Sheldon, why are we not recording this conversation? You literally have a camera in your hand. Yeah. And so Sheldon said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I didn't think you're going to do it. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And you went live and you recorded a podcast episode right there at my booth. And it was a candid conversation. It was almost like the camera and mic weren't even there.
And that's the way I'm actually glad you called me out at that moment, because I brought that camera with the intent of doing that. But the thing is, I was kind of caught up because after watching your seminar, which was amazing, talking about AI in your business, I just want to give you your flowers. That's why I came to your booth. I wanted to say, hey, great job, because a lot of times people don't get feedback. I'm the guy who will give you feedback. And so I was like, you know, great job. And then we just started chatting. And then it was like, oh, yeah, I have this thing where I could have recorded all of this. But I appreciate you calling me out and saying, hey, hit record. Let's go.
Well, you know, I appreciate that. And you know, it's such a great opportunity to have some really strong conversations, candid conversations with people at trade shows and events. I mean, everybody is currently in 2026, we all need content. Every business needs content. And you're in the driver's seat there when it comes to capturing that content. And it's a brilliant play for you to go around these business trade shows looking for business without not just exchanging business cards, but with that camera in hand to create a conversation and a memory, right?
Absolutely. And you know, the good thing about those types of environments is you can speak to a wide variety of people who are there to talk. You know, everyone's there to either sell something, buy something, or support somebody. And, you know, I found lately, after doing a few of those since then, that A, they're great for content. B, you can allow people to promote themselves, which I have no problem with. And C, you are giving yourself a new challenge. For me, the new challenge was, how do you interview someone that's interesting? So I'm going to enjoy this interaction between us right now.
Definitely. I think, you know, at least the style that I like in terms of interviews and podcasts is where it is an authentic conversation. Like even this podcast, you know, it's created in a way where, you know, I don't have these long, elaborate intros. The questions that I ask are not scripted. Sure, I have notes here, but they're not scripted. I want to go off of what you're saying. I want it to be a conversation that people can just kind of eavesdrop into from the comfort of their own home, or whether they're going for a walk with the dog. You know, it's this conversation that people can drop into and hopefully gain a lot of value from. And I think that's a great format to have for any podcast, because those are the podcasts I like listening to.
And I agree, you know, and I may have mentioned this to you when we first met, but talking about the ease in which you can talk to someone and not make it all scripted is Jim Rome, the sports commentator. He's so good at it. And I can tell that this guy's been on the radio for decades, and he switched to TV, and he still applies the same rules where he'll say, I'm here talking with, you know, whoever, you know, LeBron James and da-da-da-da. So that no matter when you tap into the interview on radio, you'll know who he's speaking to. You don't have to wait and try to catch up. But also, too, a lot of the times he'll say, hey, you mentioned that, you struggled with your injury and you getting back on the field. Let's talk about that, because the person mentioned it. It's not on his script. So I love this.
That's right. I love that. And so let's talk a bit about you, Sheldon. Like talk to me about where you came from in terms of what led you to what you're doing today.
Wow, funny story. I mean, well, it's not a funny story, but it's just an interesting journey where, I used to like taking pictures every now and then, and I had a camcorder for a short while, and my father-in-law just said, "Hey, I noticed that you like taking a lot of pictures. I got some old gear," because I had a little point and shoot at the time, and I took it. It was a film camera. I have it sitting on my shelf up there, but it had the lens, it had the wide lens, the zoom lens, and flash. He gave me the keys to the kingdom, and I was just like, I don't know how to use this thing. After wasting roll after roll, I took a class, learned about it, bought my first digital, and I was just afforded with great opportunities to put myself out there. I was using Facebook, this new thing called Facebook, back in 2007, to promote myself. I had my sister-in-law made a logo, and I would just post. I post a lot. And after a while, people were like, "So, do you do family portraits?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do."
Sure.
I had to figure it out. I had to figure out pricing. And I was fortunate enough.
I recently returned from speaking at a conference about AI and marketing, and my inbox went absolutely bonkers with people requesting my presentation slides. Now here's the thing. Instead of emailing slides to dozens of people, I decided to do something better. I launched Amplify Your Brand on School. It's where I'm sharing the AI tools that actually work, not the garbage everyone's hyping about. The exact processes our agency uses to save 15 plus hours every week. Real strategies that drive results. You'll get my slides for my presentations, weekly live business audits, and access everything we do at Merged Media. No fluff, no BS, just what works. If you want to learn more, go check out Amplify Your Brand on School. That's school, SKOOL.com/AYB. See you on the inside.
When I to get a job at Henry's the Camera Store, and while I was at Henry's the Camera Store, I learned about how to do business. Some of the best photographers worked there. I got connected with. I even worked with someone who's world renowned now. So the point is that I just got a lot of opportunities, and I used to, even when I worked downtown Toronto, I used to eat my lunch really fast and run downstairs and just take pictures of street photography. The best way to learn, you got to compose for the sun and what people are doing, and you don't want to be too intrusive, but a lot of fun stuff. And then just posting, just literally posting to this thing called Facebook, and people would see it, and all of a sudden people wanted to hire me for business.
So when you kind of dipped your toes into the entrepreneurial world, right? Like rushing down from eating your lunch so you can snap some pictures of street photography, getting your feet wet into the photography industry. Obviously you have an inherited passion for it, but tell me about that decision to go full throttle into entrepreneurship.
Ooh, great. So, it was, I had first of all, I had the blessing of my wife and it starts there.
It's important.
Basically, for a while I'd been doing weddings. Weddings was the thing, and portraits. And, she was like, "Well, you're not doing anything until you set yourself with a website and get your credentials, your credentials from the government so that you can charge HST." And so I thank her for that. And also the push that she gave me also allowed me to be free. The fact that she was there on weekends when I was out. I was shooting a lot of weddings, in the summertime. It's like every other weekend is a wedding, right? So I had her blessing. But for me, the passion was there. Jason, I loved doing this thing. It was fun. It was exciting. And it was never ending with learning. I had this book by Scott Kelby, a world-renowned photographer and teacher. And the book was just a plain description of how to use Photoshop. And literally page by page, I was just doing exercises. So I had this passion because, 9 to 5, come home, take care of the family, and nighttime, learn about this new thing and just how do I do graphics and stuff. And then I took some classes too. I ended up taking a nighttime course at Humber. And then as far as the entrepreneurial side, people just came to me. It was literally just word of mouth, and it just challenged me to learn new stuff, and I've enjoyed the ride. And when it was time to go full time, again, blessing of my wife, but at that point, because I had actually tried twice to go full time. This time now, where I've been full time for about 8 years, but previous to that, Jason, I tried when I was laid off work, and I was not a good business person. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew to take good pictures, but the making money and pouring back, that was a struggle. And my wife and I talked about it, and it was like, you got to go back to work. I didn't have it. And a lot of people have to go back to work. I was one of them. I was there. But since then, I think about 5 years had passed and I learned a lot. I got this thing. I got it.
So you're getting a lot of clients through referrals. Nowadays, I mean, I'm curious in 2026, in terms of what you're doing now that's different from the competition out there. Are there things that you're doing that are different from the competition? Because photography is a competitive space, right? And I'm curious in terms of what you're offering that would be different from others.
To be honest, Jason, there's great photographers. There's also great businessmen. Some people do both really well. And if you can just find that little thing that separates you, you're going to win. I'm not saying I'm winning, but what I offer differently is me. No one else has me. What I've tried to do is I've noticed there's a lot of photographers that they don't do small things like having a CRM running their business, a customer relationship management tool to make them show how professional they are. I know guys who send invoices by an Excel spreadsheet. Not me. I get contracts signed, things that businesses want to see. I make sure that they have my GST number because a lot of companies ask for that. A lot of venues will say you can't come in here without $1 million of liability. I got that. And then I try to be as genuine and fair to my clients as possible. And I bring my energy. This is me. I'm upbeat on a shoot.
Yeah.
I'm an extrovert, and doing that allows me to be a little bit more jovial on a shoot. I feed off people's energy, and I'm funny. And then adding in the video component also helps.
We're at a time where people are so fixated on improving efficiencies in their business. I'm sure a lot of people in your space, competitors in your space, are leaning more into the use of AI. And the more that people lean into using AI to do their jobs, it's a slippery slope because you need to be careful that you're not taking away from the opportunity to build a relationship. And that seems to be something that you're really leaning into, Sheldon, is you said it there. You're like, you're me. I'm the factor that makes me different from everybody else. And I love that. And that's what we kind of pride ourselves on too here at Merged Media. It's like, well, you're getting an amazing account manager. You're getting an amazing human experience. We're not outsourcing things overseas to people you're never going to meet. We're here in Ontario. You know what I mean? And there's a lot to be said for that. And this is something, I want to double down on and go all in on and be very bullish about in the next, 2 to 5 years is that human element. And you have that on your side. Right.
Yeah, and it's big. I've seen other people posting about, oh yeah, you don't even have to talk to these clients. You could just put them into your AI and your bot can just talk to them. And yes, and then you do have an automated system running 24 hours, especially for people who have global clients. May not be photographers, but global clients, whatever. But yes, I like talking to people. My thing is, I actually don't enjoy when people say, just send me the price. I can't. Yeah. I can, but I'd rather not. Let's talk about value. I want to understand what you need. I can send you a questionnaire. I have a template questionnaire in my CRM that if they refuse to meet, but Jason, you are like me. Our best success is talking, right? There's a million questions that we have. And not only that, it doesn't have to be all business. Sometimes I find out things from people. I had a recent lady. She was like, she just wanted the price. I got her on a phone call. And next thing you know, we're just chatting about our life and kids and stuff, even if it's just for a few minutes. And I found out that she really wants to get on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have known that from her saying, I need one headshot.
Yeah.
That's what the conversation was. Mm-hmm. But just talking, right? I don't know right now if AI is gonna be able to dig that deep or just be personable with someone, and make them laugh, make them smile, and feel like this guy is not just a photographer. He's listening to what I really want, right? And that's our superpower. And I plan to continue using it, but AI can be used for other things, especially in our industry. You can use AI for ideation. You can use AI for creating storyboards, especially with video. You can use it to help clients visualize the type of video they're going to get. And you can use it for creating, helping with your systems that are not client facing. Stuff in the back end, sure.
What are some of the specific ways that you as a photographer with your business, Sheldon, that you are using AI?
So the easiest and the biggest way is editing photos or culling photos, the process of sifting through and eliminating. Photoshop's Lightroom program, which I use, they just came up with a new way of culling and going through your photos for you. You could determine the parameters. But for example, I shot an event 2 days ago, Jason, where, I'm shooting speakers, and speakers are funny. I'll shoot, a bunch of photos from one angle. I'm going to run to the other side of the room and do the same on the other side. And when I look at, I got 15, 20, maybe more photos, they're all going to be similar. I'm trying to give them variety, and I'm also trying to not get them with a weird expression on their face and that sort of thing, or just out of focus, or just a bad angle, or maybe the branding isn't behind them. So AI, in a big way, AI can really cut down. And I'm sure if there's any photographers watching this, they're saying, yes, culling takes forever, because you are going through frame by frame, looking at thousands sometimes of photos, and you got to narrow it down. Clients don't need thousands of photos. They need, however many you promise them plus extra. But that's one big way. And the other big way is editing. There are programs out there that you can use to help get you closer to your end goal. I haven't seen any that are perfect, but closer to the end goal is always a big help, because again, people don't understand. You're only coming for an hour. How come it costs so much? Well, it's after I go home with all of your photos that the work is really starting.
Mm-hmm.
Watching me run around with the camera is not the only thing that I'm doing.
That's right. People forget that point, right? People think, oh, it costs that much to take a few photos of me. Nah, it's the work behind the scenes. I know what you mean. And maybe that's something, let's talk about the misconceptions that small business owners have of photography, because I think one of the misconceptions is, I got to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to get a few pictures done. Maybe you could talk about the biggest misconception you're seeing with for small businesses when it comes to photography.
It really is them thinking that that's all we offer. The way I do my business is that, we have a pre-shoot meeting, whether it be photo or video. I already know, you told me in the initial meeting what you need these photos for, social media. No problem. Let's tell your story. What is this meeting or the conference really about? How many people are coming? What are the delegates, the VIPs, all that. I want to help tell your story. And if you think I'm just going to show up on game day with no meeting, you've paid your deposit or the full price, and I'm going to come in and shoot and not know, you're crazy. I want you to understand I'm your media partner. And I've been using that kind of like my tagline a little bit, but I'm your media partner. I am your partner. We're trying to achieve something for you. And the way I do that is by finding out as much as I can. And you might be like, oh, why do we have to meet? Well, by the end of the meeting, you're like, I'm glad I had this meeting. Yes, because I want to know as much as I can that's maybe not on your itinerary about what your event is about, so that I can help tell you your story, get the right images. The last thing I would want, Jason, is to leave there and know I didn't get a picture of the VIP, the president, a delegate was in town, or whatever it may be. Because sometimes the presidents come and go. They might be there for a split second. You need to make sure you get that split second. I had one shoot, it was a wedding, where I wasn't ready because I didn't get an itinerary. In my early days, I was literally there shooting the bride and groom at the altar. All of a sudden, the priest stepped out, and this lady walks up with a box, and she lays it down. She was in jeans. I'm like, what is happening? I was like, oh my gosh, doves. Jason, I had the wrong lens. I had my zoom lens. I needed to go wide. I had to run back where my lens was, switch the lenses, and I mean literally turning around and firing. And then the amount of hours I had to use to get the dub when it was extended wings and the couple looking up, it could have been avoided had I known they were doing a dub release.
That it's an interesting role, I find. Obviously, photography is not the world I live in. You know, I live more on the marketing side. I grab those assets that you create as my fuel to amplify a campaign, right? So, but you have to be super, maybe a little bit OCD when it comes to planning with photography, right? You really have to have a proper itinerary. Talk to me about the process that you have when it comes to planning a shoot and building that itinerary.
Perfect. So when people, I give them, some details about, what's involved and the pricing. The first meeting, sometimes it might be the only meeting. The pre-production meeting is the big one. And that's where I have a checklist. I actually have it in my CRM, and I can just easily go through, make my notes, put it on the customer's file where I have an idea of those things I'm talking about. VIPs, what's the purpose? How many people? So even if it's not a video, it's just photos. I want your full itinerary, even down to where do I park? Because sometimes, parking is an issue, or you don't know if you have to pay or whatever it is. But my process is going through my checklist. I have a checklist where I ask a bunch of questions, and a lot of times I can go through the checklist and get everything I need. But sometimes the flow of the conversation will have me, saying, hey, you need to ask this question and make sure you find out this. But the main thing is that once I have it, then I just bring my phone and I can check my phone during the shoot just to make sure I'm getting things. Sometimes I'm even weird, Jason. Sometimes if I have it in some sort of like Chat GPT or something, I can play it on the way to the shoot. Instead of hyping myself up with some music, sometimes I just play back that and I can actually hear it spoken to me to make sure I get these shots or to keep this one major thing in mind. But here's the thing. With experience, you don't always have to do those types of things. And I've been doing this for a long time, where a lot of it is muscle memory, but sometimes there are things that that stand out that you need. And every event, like I said, the names and the faces are different, but the idea is the same. The president, VIPs.
So for doing this for so long, you've probably seen or have some horror stories of things gone pear-shaped with shoots. What are some of the things that people who look for photography services when they're on a shoot day, what do they need to prepare for? Maybe mentally, maybe based on your experience, how can somebody best prepare for a shoot day?
And this is going to be even more so with video, is that you got to make sure that people who maybe have to speak to the camera at some point doing on-site interviews, make sure that they're prepared. Let them know, simple things like, you can bring a change of clothes in just in case you want to switch out. I probably will wait to the end of the event to do it. So if you're leaving early, you have to let me know, just to let them know I got you. I'm going to ask you these questions, send them the questions in advance. People don't always feel ready if you spring it on them. And also too, you're going to tell them things like, you want to make sure that they know when they're getting everything delivered, what to expect, which is also in the contract and also in my statement of work that I send out. But, things that can go sideways is, the president was supposed to speak and the president's like, no, I didn't know. I got to go, or I don't want to, which has happened many years ago. It happened to me. And we were able to fill in with like the head of another department. But you want to make sure that you understand and that they understand what's going to happen so that you want the people to be relaxed. Speaking to a camera is nerve-wracking. Even posing for a camera, a lot of times, there's so many people that have said, I've never done this before. I've never had a professional shoot since, the yearbook photo. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that they understand what's going to happen. Let them relax and it'll be fine. I got you.
Yeah, I know I think you're a super comfortable guy to be around when it comes to that, and that helps ease the tension and stress as well. But it is easier said than done in a lot of cases, and a lot of people, especially if you're a perfectionist, you're fixated on the perfect image or the perfect video, where in a lot of cases, at least I know, with doing digital marketing and being data driven, you don't need to care about perfection. I want quantity, because we're testing on our end when it comes to marketing. So
Absolutely. And I wanted to just say this one thing, Jason. One thing I also started doing, I believe it was just last year, which was, if I'm doing headshots of staff, I may have 40, 50 people to do, and we're trying to get it done efficiently. One thing I do to help people relax is I actually send an intro video that my contact at the company shares with everyone who's going to come in front of the camera. And in it, I just say, hey, everybody, this is Sheldon. I'm going to be taking your photos tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. Don't worry, I'm going to guide you through the process. And I'm showing my personality. I'm smiling so that, they've seen me before I show up. And I feel like since then, people have been more relaxed when they come and sit down in front of me. They might even feel like they sort of tiny bit know me, because of that intro video that they watched.
It's interesting, because I'm just thinking about, I feel like there is a certain personality fit with a good photographer. You know what I mean? You have to have a certain personality to be able to, obviously be extroverted enough to and willing to connect with people and to help ease them. And it comes to photography. I also think like maybe some audio engineering stuff too would fall into that. Videographers, if you're doing any sort of live speaking, those people that are adjusting the knobs or behind the scenes need to have that same sort of bubbly, positive personality, because I've been in situations before, hosting an event when they're just very cold. Those people that are adjusting the knobs, adjusting the mic, doing the mic testing and stuff. And it's like, this is not really gearing me up for a good performance. You almost need to really just have a good personality, because a lot of people that are getting their photo taken, or maybe getting a video taken, or speaking on stage, they're nervous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to have that personality to kind of offset those feelings of stress and nervousness.
And you're right. And my example of that is when I was a guest at one of my family members' wedding, and the photographer was walking by, and I had my mom, and I was like, hey, can you take a picture of me and my mom? He looked at me, raised his camera, fired, and walked away. And I was just like, thank you. Like, really? Whereas me, I'm going all in. Your mom, you sure this is not your sister? And that, like, I'm joking. They're already going to be laughing, and they're going to be ready. And bam, I hit it. I might even show it to them. I couldn't imagine not speaking or being, you could be business-like. I'm not saying don't be professional, and I am professional, but you want to make sure people are relaxed. They're going to remember you for something. I'm still talking about the story, and I mean, that wedding probably happened, well, it was for sure before the pandemic. So we're going on 11 years. I was just like, ooh.
Well, you're creating an experience, naturally, you're taking photos, you're shooting a moment. That is an experience, and experiences should be memorable.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And again, I also have to consider you guys on the other end, dealing with these companies that, I'm going to be handing over these assets to a marketing agency. What are they looking for? So, I do keep you guys in mind when I know, and that's part of the questioning. Who's dealing with the photos and videos after?
Yeah, 100%. And and that was my next question, was about the distribution side of it, right? Like, in terms of distribution, how do you guide that? Like, the worst case is where you see an awesome video and it sits on YouTube and lives there forever with 100 views, right?
Am I frozen?
It's frozen, but you've got the perfect still image of being frozen, because you're ready to say something compelling.
Hold on, let's see. I'm sorry, Jason. Why is it frozen?
Let's do this. I can remove you. Boom, bring you back. There he is. He's still. It's a perfect photo. It's an amazing photo, by the way. I am gonna actually screenshot this photo right now.
Hold on. I'm going to switch.
This is going to be there. This is going to be the ad to promote this episode.
Why is it still doing it? I'm so sorry, man.
It's meant to be, man.
There we go. Well, no, I don't want to use that. That's just my webcam. Okay, so hold on.
Oh, you're good.
I'm good. All right, we're back. I'm so sorry. All right.
That's all right. So, but it was funny because that picture was like a perfect still. I'm going to send it to you. I think you might be able to use it, or enhance it. But what I was saying was when it comes to distribution, right? Is there anything that you, in terms of suggestions that you offer to your clients around the distribution of it?
Yeah.
The content?
Yeah. So there's a few different things you can do. For a trade show or conference, you want to make sure that all the vendors get their photos, because I do go around and make sure I get everyone. I try to get them when their booths are full, maybe even beforehand because I've gone early. So I like to, understand, do I have access to the vendors? Can I send them the photos directly? Or I can create a gallery for them to go in and download just their photos. The host who hired me, my client, they can download the entire gallery, but the individual vendors can only download individual photos because we don't want them having everything. They just need what they need. And I also suggest that they do that, like literally when I send off their email with the link to their gallery, it actually gives them tips saying, we want your attendees or your vendors to make use of these photos so they post quickly. Let me know when you've downloaded and I'll reconfigure the settings, or grab this link and you can send it out to your attendees or whatever. So that's one thing. When it comes to distribution, I'm thinking for them, let's get these photos in the hands of everyone who showed up. Let's let them grab, because if you got a professional photo that day and your thank you message to them is going out, include the link to the gallery. That's a layup, and then it's a high quality photo, not from their phone. Nothing wrong with your phone photos, but maybe they've been branded with their logo or whatever it is, or the event name. So you want those shared and shared quickly while people are still buzzing. And then distribution wise, I also do things, and I did it just this morning for the event that I shot on Monday, where I broke down into different categories, or I should say folders, what was happening at the event. So like there was the speakers time, there was the event activations was happening, networking, and pre-event, right? So they, as far as organizing their folders on there, and when they're downloading, they can easily just say, okay, all these photos of the speakers, they can know to grab those photos here, and even the group photos, right? Like, they probably, most people like to post group photos on their social saying thank you, or this is how many people our event had.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make it easy.
It's important because, especially with LinkedIn, because this is the exact content that the LinkedIn algorithm loves is business related content, authentic content, not stock, but actual images of people at events, talking with potential clients or partners, or even just internally with their business. You post up a piece of content like this, like a photo, and then have a story to go along with it. So this is why some of the content that you're capturing here, Sheldon, is very important, especially if LinkedIn is a part of the strategy in 2026.
Absolutely. And, whether it be LinkedIn, their website, Instagram, wherever, my job is to make it easy for them to find what they're looking for. Because again, I'm giving like this morning, I think I gave them 450 photos. That's a lot of photos. But you want to make sure that it's easy for them to grab, use, reuse. We're trying to work with speed here, because that's what I promised them. I promised them speed. I had an event planner reach out to me last year and say, we'd love to, consider hiring you for our event, but we do need the photos by the week after. And I was like, and week after? No, you're getting your photos within 24 hours. Like I'm like, is that what they're used to? That's crazy to me. A week for photos? No, absolutely not.
Sounds like a huge opportunity for you. That's a competitive advantage.
It was, and it worked out, and I delivered just as I said too.
Yeah. Now, moving into the talk of the future a bit, because I think, it's no secret you have the likes of Gemini, Nano Banana, ChatGPT, Midjourney, creating realistic professional photography. I'd like to get, first of all, your thoughts on that, and then I want to get your insight and where you see the future going with photography.
So headshots are in trouble. A lot of times people might need something in a pinch. They get Jason calling them up saying, I need you to be on my podcast, but I need your headshot for our promo. I haven't been to a photographer in a while and I don't have time, or I don't want to spend the money. I got a bunch of selfie photos. Let me just run it through AI. The future of things like Christmas photos as well are in trouble. Oh, here we go again. Come on. Sorry, man. It froze again.
Okay.
I don't even know what I did. to bring it back.
Christmas photos being in trouble. That's interesting.
So there was a lady who actually she posted a prompt on how to get Christmas photos, and it was pretty amazing to see. She basically, shared this Christmas photo of her and her family that was all through AI. And I thought it was well done. Like, that's the truth. It was well done. But it is knowing that if you could just run it through the AI. Here's the thing, Jason, and this is the only thing that might save us, is a lot of people do not want to do it. They don't know how to prompt. They're not prompt engineers. They're really at a loss for how to make it look real, do well, and be something that they can use in their marketing or online. But it's real. It's real. It could happen where we no longer have the ability to get around it. The major thing is that we can talk about the experience. We could talk about working with someone who knows you and can make you feel good and make you laugh and have a good time. But people are like, for me to pack up the kids and drive to your studio and pay all this money, Christmas photos aren't always cheap. It's not always something that's as easy as 1, 2, 3. And AI will figure it out, and it's getting better. I mean, you remember about, what was it, November of 2023, when a lot of these AIs were starting out, it was terrible. But now, even in the last 6 months, it has gotten so good. But again, the caveat is being a prompting engineer. And a lot of people sell courses on how to do it. But again, are people really going to do it? I don't know, Jason.
You know what? I truly think it comes down to, in my opinion, what's happening here, based on my conversation here with you, Sheldon, is like those things, like you said, headshots. Okay, I can see that. Those can be manufactured by AI. Yeah. Because there's no experience with a headshot. Let's be honest. You're getting a headshot for a reason. The purpose of that photo is business-related purposes, LinkedIn profile, stick it on a website, whatever it is. There's no experience or memory needed. The photography that's going to be timeless and always needed that AI won't replace, in my opinion, are the ones that are capturing an actual experience. The ones that need that memory to be captured. Wedding photographers are not going to be replaced by AI. Come on. No. Right? Unless you bring some sort of a robot there that just snaps pictures nonstop. That could happen. Sure, that could happen in a decade, but for now, you still need that person with the bubbly personality that's providing a good time and putting two people together in a room and being like, hey, you two, this looks like a really good moment. You guys are vibing out. Get together. I'm taking a picture.
Yes, right? yes.
Yeah, I can't do that. Come on.
It can't. And it's funny. I was watching, there was one of those Star Wars shows where they had a DJ playing at, I think it was some sort of celebration, and it was just a drone. But it was just this big round thing, and it was also a speaker, and it was pulsating for the eyes visually, but it was just flying around and pumping out music and playing. And I'm like, well, maybe in the future that's what photography might look like, where I'm the guy at the back and I'm just watching on a screen, and it's just taking photos. But yes, the human connection is huge, but it seems like this world is moving away from it in all different areas where we're just doing our own thing. And I don't know.
That's scary. That's a scary thought. It is, but it isn't, because you still see like events, physical events are on the increase. People are more often than not, they're going to live events rather than virtual. Virtual are on the decline. People crave that human communication. That's why I still think it's important that events are always going to happen. I don't think people are going to be living in their silos. We're like, human beings are meant to connect. We've been doing it for centuries upon centuries, thousands and thousands of years. That ain't going anywhere. We still have that inherited need in us until we get to the point where our brains become the sizes of watermelons and our mouths become the sizes of peas and we look like aliens. It's going to take generations upon generations before we get to that point, I think.
And I hope so. And again, the reason why I'm not too concerned is because people don't even use AI a lot right now. And I just think when it comes to certain things, they're not going to do it. And they're just going to say, I just want to go and let someone else tell me what to do. Tell me how to pose. Tell me what looks good. Be honest with me. I'm not really that. A robot, even if a robot was able to give you some sympathy and that type of thing, in your mind, it's like, yeah, it's still a robot, and it's, I don't feel like it's being real with me. It's going to say, yeah, you look great. Snap. And then, so headshots, headshots, they're, because headshots can, obviously they can change your appearance, but also headshots can put you in any type of background. You can be anywhere in the world now. You can create whatever world you want as your background. So it's an interesting thing. And we were just talking about, another photographer and I were just talking about it. And there's a company that sells software, and they were about to release for free an AI generated headshot tool, and photographers came for them, blasted them on social media. They had to take it down, delete the web page, and like, sorry, we didn't know it was going to be this bad.
Wow.
You're taking business from your current customers who are photographers who use your software to edit photos. Now you're giving someone like regular people a way to bypass them. So it was a huge backlash. So, but we anticipate that software will come out. They'll sell it to someone else, and they'll be like, not ours. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sheldon, this has been a great chat. If our audience has any questions for you, if they want to get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Find me on LinkedIn, Sheldon A. Isaac, and you'll see this mug on it, and it'll say event photographer. And as well as you can find me on Instagram, Sheldon A. Isaac. Actually, no, it's Sheldon Isaac Images. I changed it. Sheldon Isaac Images on Instagram.
Did you say Sheldon A. Isaac?
I did.
Sheldon AI Zick? When you first said that's what I heard. I heard Sheldon AI.
No, not fully AI. He's the real deal. He's still alive. He's still alive.
Your alias is set in stone now. That's the one. When we all go full AI, that's gonna be it. Sheldon AI.
Awesome.
All right. Cool, Sheldon. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, podcast listener, for checking out that episode of Drop the Mic. If you liked that episode, I would love it if you went on over to your podcast platform and left us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to miss an upcoming episode of Drop the Mic, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again. See you soon.